All three of those individuals were tied in some way to an American cleric who's now supposedly in Yemen, Anwar al-Awlaki. He is said to be on an assassination list by President Obama. Is that true? And does being an American afford him any protection that any other terrorist might not enjoy?
Awlaki is a terrorist who's declared war on the United States. Everything he's doing now is to try to encourage others to attack this country. There's a whole stream of intelligence that goes back to Awlaki and his continuous urging of others to attack this country in some way. You can track Awlaki to the Detroit bomber. We can track him to other attacks in this country that have been urged by Awlaki or that have been influenced by Awlaki. Awlaki is a terrorist. And yes, he's a U.S. citizen, but he is first and foremost a terrorist, and we're going to treat him like a terrorist. We don't have an assassination list, but I can tell you this, we have a terrorist list, and he's on it.
I know you can't discuss certain classified operations or even acknowledge them, but even since you've been here today, we've heard about another drone strike in Pakistan, and there's been much criticism of the Predator drone program of the CIA. United Nations official Phil Alston earlier this month said, quote, "In a situation in which there is no disclosure of who has been killed, for what reason, and whether innocent civilians have died, the legal principle of international accountability is by definition comprehensively violated." Will you give us your personal assurance that everything the CIA is doing in Pakistan is compliant with U.S. and international law?
There's no question that we are abiding by international law and the law of war. Look, the United States of America on 9/11 was attacked by al-Qaeda. And anyone who suggests that somehow, you know, we're employing other tactics here that somehow violate international law are dead wrong. What we're doing is defending this country. That's what our operations are all about.
The CIA recently entered into a new $100 million contract with Blackwater, now called Z Services for Security in Afghanistan. Blackwater guards allegedly opened fire in a city square in Baghdad in 2007, killing 17 unarmed civilians. And since then, the firm has been fighting off prosecution, civil suits. Earlier this year, a federal grand jury indicted 5 Blackwater officials on 15 counts of conspiracy, weapons, and obstruction of justice charges. Here's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, a Democrat from Illinois, who's a member of the House Intelligence Committee.
I'm just mystified why any branch of the government would decide to hire Blackwater, such a repeat offender. We're talking about murder, a company with a horrible reputation that really jeopardizes our mission in so many different ways.
What's your response?
Since I've become director, I've asked our agency to review every contract we have had with Blackwater and whatever their new name is. I think it's Z now. Yeah. And to ensure that first and foremost, that we have no contract in which they're engaged in any CIA operations. We're doing our own operations. That's important, that we not contract that out to anybody. But at the same time, I have to tell you that in the war zone, we continue to have needs for security. We've got a lot of forward bases. We've got a lot of attacks on some of those bases. We've got to have security. Unfortunately, there are a few companies that provide that kind of security. The State Department relies on them. We rely on them to a certain extent. So we've bid out some of those contracts. They provided a bid that was underbid everyone else by about $26 million. And a panel that we had said that they can do the job, that they have shaped up their act. So there really was not much choice but to accept that contract. But having said that, I will tell you that I continue to be very cautious about any of those contracts, and we're reviewing all of the bids that we have with that company.
This month, Attorney General Eric Holder announced that Assistant United States Attorney John Durham is close to completing a preliminary review of whether or not there's evidence that CIA agents or contractors violated the law when they used brutal methods, some call torture, to interrogate terrorist detainees. You opposed this investigation. Are your officers, your current officers, concerned about their legal jeopardy in the future under a future administration, and what kind of guarantees can you give them?
Well, look, the CIA is an agency that has to collect intelligence, do operations. We have to take risks. And it's important that we take risks and that we know that we have the support of the government and we have the support of the American people in what we're doing. With regards to this investigation, I know the reasons the Attorney General decided to proceed. I didn't agree with him, but he decided to proceed. We're cooperating with him in that investigation. I've had discussions with the Attorney General, and he assures me that, that this investigation will be expedited. And I think in the end, it'll turn out to be okay. What I've told my people is, please focus on the mission we have. Let me worry about Washington and those issues. And I think they have, and I think, frankly, the morale at the CIA is higher than it's ever been.
We only have a few minutes left, but I want to ask you, you're now privy to information about some of the ugliest, toughest tactics carried out by intelligence agencies with the purpose of defending our nation. Stuff that probably, as a member of Congress or OMB director or White House chief of staff, you suspected but didn't actually know for a fact. How rough is it? And does any of it ever make it difficult for you to sleep at night or run to do an extra confession?
Well, I mean, I didn't realize that I would be making decisions, as many decisions about life and death as I do now, and I don't take those decisions lightly. Those are difficult decisions, but at the same time, I have to tell you that the most rewarding part of this job. I mean, we had a tragedy in Host where we lost 7 of our officers, and it was tragic. But at the same time, it also provided a great deal of inspiration.